There are a ton of reasons why clutter happens. Emotional attachment, fear, security, guilt, uncontrolled impulses. A lot of people feel that their things are an extension of themselves. Today I'm sharing insights you need to know. You need to understand the psychology of clutter before you can actually get on top of having an uncluttered home and a decluttered life. First, I'm going to start with what clutter does to us. Do you dig through piles of clothes every morning just to find like the shirt that you're looking for? Or are you digging through a ton of shoes so that you can find a specific pair of shoes? Maybe you can't find your keys when you're trying to leave the house. And maybe as you're doing it, you just say to yourself, okay, someday I'll fix this, someday I'll declutter. You are not alone. So many of us struggle with this. So what even is clutter? I think of clutter as items that you have around your home that you don't even really want. Maybe you don't need them. You definitely don't use them, but they're just sitting in your home anyway. I have glassware in my kitchen, like prime real estate in a cabinet right next to the stove, that I haven't used in years. I have small kitchen appliances that I needed to have, and I never use them. I have piles of paper, old mail that I need to go through. Again, things that I just don't need, and it's simply clutter. There are lots of reasons why we have clutter. So sentimental attachment, this I think is kind of like the biggest one, and I definitely think this is the hardest clutter to get rid of. But basically, when you feel a sentimental attachment to your clutter, it's because you've assigned a value to that clutter. You've assigned a value to this object. Or fear. Maybe you think that you will need the item. I have this myself. Sometimes I feel like if I don't have backups of the things that we use frequently, I just have this fear like we're going to run out and then what? I'm going to have to run to the store and get it. I don't know why I have this fear and why I feel like I constantly need to have multiples and backups. Or comfort. A lot of times our stuff just gives us like a sense of security, especially like we want to fill our home with stuff and we want to feel good about that stuff and we want it around. Or maybe it's just pure overwhelm. Like you don't even like this stuff. It's just there, but you don't know what to do or where to begin. Some people are also neurodivergent, especially like people who have ADHD have a lot of trouble with organizing things. So this could also get in the way and stand in the way of you living in a clutter-free life. But these are all challenges. They're not roadblocks. We can get around them. Clutter has a cumulative effect on our brains. Our brains actually like order, and every time we see clutter around, it's a visual reminder that there's disorganization, and it's disruptive to our brains. And it drains our brain's resources, and we can no longer focus. And you might think, well, I don't need to focus. Focus isn't that important. But let me tell you what it does. If you can't focus, we have no working memory. And I was a little confused at what working memory is. So let me just try to break it down a little bit for you. But working memory is basically the things that you do on a regular basis that you don't even need to think about. It's kind of like Post-it notes in our brain. It's a skill set that lets us work with information without losing track of what we're doing. So it's like when you're driving in the car and you're trying to go to a place that you know, like the kids' school, but the kids are screaming and shouting in the background, and you can't really focus on exactly where you're going. But guess what? You can still get to the school anyway because of working memory. It's much different than long-term memory. Long-term memory is like if I said close your eyes and remember your childhood home, you could totally do that. But you can see why working memory is so important and why if clutter decreases that, we want to get rid of this clutter. Clutter also causes stress and anxiety. I don't have to tell you what that does to you, but if you're always under stress, it really makes you susceptible to diseases. It makes you susceptible to infections. I know my husband in particular, when he was probably about 40 years old, he actually got shingles because of stress. He went to see the doctor and the doctor said, 100% this is stress related. You need to get a handle on this. Clutter also causes a lack of sleep. Also, people with cluttered homes could be more apt to be overweight. They've associated a cluttered home with lower health, and it's actually proven that if you see clutter, it makes you more likely to eat a candy bar than like a piece of fruit, which I thought was interesting. And I shared in one of my previous videos that clutter goes hand in hand, or at least it's correlated with poor financial health. So this is not to scare you. These are the psychological effects that you need to know about clutter. I need to know this about clutter because I need to get a handle on my clutter as well, and we're gonna do this together. So now I'm going to talk about how to declutter when you don't know where to begin. These are easy things you can do just to simply get started. The first, and this is what I always say, grab a trash bag. Grab a trash bag and you're going to start with the garbage. You're going to throw away things that are like actual garbage. You're going to throw away things that are undonatable or broken. Make sure your garbage bag is black, that you can't see through it. I mean, at least for me, if my kids see what I'm donating, they go through the bag and they want to keep things and they have this like newfound love for all of the things that I'm trying to get rid of. So put everything in a black garbage bag that you're either throwing away or is for the trash, but don't mix them up. Also get rid of any packaging. I think a lot of people end up keeping like cardboard boxes or like phone boxes or electronics boxes. It's kind of funny. Like sometimes I'll just get like a new thing and it comes in a nice box and then I'll put the box aside and I'll say, well, I may want to use this for something, and I just keep the box. It ends up being more clutter and I never use the box. Now we're going to move on to step 2, and we are going to start small. By small, I mean like one table, one tabletop, one junk drawer, one corner of a room, maybe one bookshelf. What I find is that if I start small, it kind of gives me a quick win. Like I get it done and then I feel motivated to do more. And honestly, even if you don't feel motivated to do more, at least you've done that. Okay, then the next step is we're going to grab 2 boxes. One is going to be for donations and then the other box is going to be for a maybe box. I don't know like if this is what professional decluttering people suggest. I'm just going to tell you what works for me. I like to have a maybe box, especially because I think it helps out a lot if you have sentimental clutter or that fear. And so you're going to put things in that maybe box that you're just not sure of. I do this with like duplicates of kitchen utensils or maybe kitchen appliances like that I don't want to accidentally donate and then I want. So I have this maybe box and you can hang on to it for 6 weeks. You can hang on to it for 6 months, however long you want to do that and however long you feel good about hanging on to it before you decide like, am I going to keep it? And the only things you're going to get out of that maybe box, like once you put it away, are the things that you're actually looking for. You're not going to go back to it in 6 months and say like, well, now let's see what's in here. No, if you haven't gone looking for anything in that box, you're just going to get rid of the whole thing without looking at it. Then in the donations box, you're going to take that and you're going to put everything in it. Of course, you want to make sure that you're just using like either a box or a black bag, something that you can just fully take to the donation center, because you don't want to like put it in a nice box and then you have to go through it twice. You just want to do this once. I have this weird thing that I like to do when I'm decluttering, and it just kind of helps me get into this decluttering mindset. Trust me, it's weird. I think to myself, if a war started, like right outside of my door right now, and a war started and they said, you need to go, grab a bag and go, I get in this mindset where like, do I need all of this stuff? This really helps me with my clothing in particular, because when I'm looking at my clothes through the eyes of somebody and a war could be coming, it just somehow helps me make a quick decision and decide what I truly want to keep. And the thing I think that's good about donating your clothing and donating other things in your home is that you have to have a quick decision. I don't think you should agonize over decisions of what you're decluttering. I don't think you're going to take something and you need to look at it for more than a couple of seconds. You should make that decision very, very quickly. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to create a timeline. We're just going to say to ourselves, are we getting this done in 2 weeks? Are we getting this done in 30 days? Are we getting this done in 1 year? What is your timeline? Once you've got that timeline established, my next favorite thing to do is I like to make a list of everything that needs to be done. And I just do this by room. So I will write kitchen, and then I will write down pantry, laundry room, overhead cabinets, and I just write down all of the areas I want to declutter. Sometimes I may also write down the things I want to declutter if I know what they are, but definitely the areas. Now that you've got your list, you've started your boxes, you've started your trash, you've got your timeline, maybe you're working towards that timeline, the final step is to go to the donation center. You're going to want to do this often. The thing is, you don't want to make all of your stuff for the donation center and then let it sit in your home so that you can have second thoughts and then start going through it again. You want to get it out of your house as soon as possible, as fast as possible. Okay, guys, those are my tips on how you can get on top of your clutter, as well as the psychology of clutter. I hope this helped you. It definitely helps me. It puts things into perspective and makes me feel like I can get a handle on this. And just know you're not the only one struggling with clutter. So many of us are, and it's okay. We are doing something about it. You're on YouTube learning about it. I'm on YouTube learning about it, and I'm sharing it with you. So thank you so much for watching. And if you want to keep the decluttering going, I will link a video up here. Click on it, and I'll see you over there. Bye-bye.